What if one of the most famous aviators in history, celebrated across continents, simply vanished without a trace, leaving a mystery that has puzzled historians, pilots, radio operators, researchers, and everyday enthusiasts for almost a century? What if the disappearance of a single person could become a global phenomenon, sparking debates, expeditions, and theories that range from plausible to utterly extraordinary? This is the story of Amelia Earhart, a woman who defied societal expectations, soared into history, and then disappeared in a way that continues to fascinate the world. On June 1st, 1937, Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan took off from Miami, Florida in a bright yellow Lockheed Electra, aiming to complete a circumnavigation of the globe at the equator, a feat no one had ever successfully accomplished. The flight promised adventure, record-breaking distance, and a chance to cement her legacy in aviation forever. 4 months Earhart had meticulously prepared, studying maps, fuel calculations, weather patterns, and radio protocols, leaving nothing to chance. The public followed every waypoint, cheered her progress, and admired the precision and courage it took to fly over deserts, mountains, oceans, and jungles, with only the primitive technology of the 1930s. Each takeoff, each landing, each radio message was a triumph of skill and daring. But when Earhart and Noonan reached New Guinea on July 2nd, 1937, and took off for Howland Island, the world lost contact with her forever. What should have been a brief flight across the Pacific became a nightmare of silence and uncertainty. No distress signals were confirmed. No eyewitnesses recorded seeing the plane crash or land. And despite one of the largest and most expensive search efforts of the era, not a single piece of definitive wreckage was recovered. This is where one of the most perplexing and enduring mysteries in aviation history begins, because the absence of evidence is, paradoxically, what has kept Earhart's story alive, fueling endless curiosity, speculation, and obsession around the globe. How could one of the most famous individuals of her time disappear completely, leaving no wreckage, no messages, and almost no clues? And more importantly, what does her disappearance tell us about human error, perseverance, and the way history sometimes refuses to give clear answers? The first leg of the flight had gone smoothly, traversing continents and oceans. But the final segment to Howland Island was fraught with peril. Radio communication was unreliable. Navigation depended on dead reckoning, sextants, and a fragile understanding of wind currents. Observers at Ley watched the Electra ascend into the clouds, unaware that this was likely the last confirmed sighting of Earhart alive. The Pacific Ocean is vast, covering thousands of square miles, with countless atolls, reefs, and uncharted stretches of water. If she had simply run out of fuel and plunged into the ocean, as some researchers suggest, why has the plane never been found? Even after modern sonar mapping and deep-sea exploration, the Electra was a distinctive aircraft, and even a fragment would be recognizable. Yet decades of searching have produced nothing conclusive. Some hypothesize that Earhart and Noonan may have miscalculated their position and landed on Gardner Island, hundreds of miles off course, surviving 4 days or weeks in isolation. Artifacts and skeletal remains were discovered on the island in the 1990s, sparking speculation that they might belong to Earhart or Noonan. However, testing was inconclusive, and the remains were eventually lost, leaving only tantalizing, unverified evidence. Radio signals picked up on the day of her disappearance have also fueled speculation. Operators reported hearing fragments of messages that might have been from Earhart, but the locations and frequencies were inconsistent with the expected flight path. Did she broadcast on the wrong frequency? Was it a navigational miscalculation? Or were these distorted signals the last desperate attempt to be heard before fuel exhaustion? Some theories propose that political tensions at the time, including the looming conflict of World War II, may have complicated her journey. Certain researchers speculate that she may have been on a secret mission, and that government interference or misdirection might have played a role in her disappearance. These claims remain controversial and unproven, yet they add layers of intrigue and uncertainty that have kept Earhart's story alive in public imagination. Beyond theory, the disappearance of Amelia Earhart represents the human fascination with the unknown, the limits of exploration, and the compelling drama of unanswered questions. It invites us to consider not just the fate of a remarkable woman, but also the enduring allure of mysteries that refuse to be solved. How does one reconcile the meticulous preparation of a seasoned aviator with the total vanishing of the aircraft? Why did the massive search efforts fail to yield even a single piece of concrete evidence? And what can this tell us about human cognition, assumption, and the desire to find closure? Even when the universe offers none, Earhart's journey was a combination of bravery, skill, and extraordinary ambition. Flying hundreds of miles over open ocean, relying on rudimentary instruments, she pushed the boundaries of possibility. Yet the final moments of that flight are shrouded in mystery. Was it a simple navigational error, a catastrophic mechanical failure, or a series of unfortunate coincidences? Or is there a more profound, hidden truth behind the disappearance? One that has eluded historians, adventurers, and governments for nearly 90 years. This story is not just about what happened. It is about the questions it leaves behind. Questions that invite every viewer to imagine themselves in her cockpit, navigating uncharted skies, facing the unknown, and disappearing into legend. And so as we delve into the full complexity of this mystery, we must confront the fact that the true answer, if it exists, may challenge our assumptions, our understanding of history, and the limits of human knowledge itself. Decades of investigation have produced dozens of hypotheses, each offering a glimpse into possible scenarios, but none providing definitive closure. The most conventional theory suggests that Earhart and Noonan simply exhausted their fuel supply and plunged into the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Yet if that were the case, modern sonar mapping and oceanographic exploration should have revealed some evidence of the electric, even a fragment of its unique structure. Yet none has been conclusively identified. Other researchers focus on Gardner Island, where anecdotal evidence, scattered artifacts, and bone fragments have hinted that Earhart may have survived for days, possibly weeks, after an emergency landing. Scientific testing on these fragments proved inconclusive, and the remains were eventually lost, leaving only tantalizing questions. Radio transmissions from the day of the disappearance had another layer of intrigue. Some operators claimed to have heard messages that could have been sent by Earhart, yet inconsistencies in frequency and location prevent confirmation. Was she attempting to communicate over a distorted signal, or was it a different aircraft entirely? Controversial theories even suggest government involvement. Some propose that she was captured for espionage purposes or involved in a secret mission with military implications. Although these ideas are speculative, they illustrate the complexity and cultural fascination surrounding the case. The mystery has captivated generations because it is not merely about a plane or an accident. It is about human curiosity, the allure of the unknown, and our collective obsession with unanswered questions. Historians, amateur detectives, deep-sea explorers, and conspiracy theorists alike continue to study maps, analyze old photographs, examine archives, and explore remote atolls in search of proof. Yet with every potential discovery comes new questions. If she landed on Gardner Island, why did no confirmed messages or records survive? If she crashed at sea, why has no wreckage been identified? Could she have survived long enough to leave behind undiscovered clues? And if the truth is hidden in archives yet to be released, what secrets could finally solve this enduring enigma? These questions, paired with Earhart's extraordinary courage, intelligence, and pioneering spirit, create a story that is both timeless and immediate, capturing attention across generations. It is the combination of documented achievements, mysterious disappearance, unverified evidence, and conflicting theories that makes this case so compelling. Every historian, every enthusiast, and every viewer is invited to ponder the possibilities, weigh the evidence, and consider the extraordinary scenarios that might explain one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. The disappearance of Amelia Earhart is a puzzle that blends fact, speculation, human error, courage, and the vast, indifferent ocean into a story that continues to captivate our imagination. It is a story about daring exploration, tragic uncertainty, and the enduring human desire to understand the inexplicable. It is a story that asks us, the audience, to confront questions with no easy answers, and to embrace the thrill of speculation while grappling with history, human achievement, and the relentless pursuit of truth. And perhaps, in that space of uncertainty, we realize the mystery itself is as significant as any solution we might uncover. A timeless reminder that some stories are meant not just to inform, but to provoke thought, ignite curiosity, and keep us wondering long after the last page of history has been written. So as you reflect on Amelia Earhart's flight, consider this. What would you do if you were somewhere no one could find you, and the world had no way to know your fate? The disappearance is more than an aviation mystery. It is a mirror of our fascination with the unknown, an invitation to explore, theorize, and dream about what might have happened on that fateful day nearly 90 years ago. The Electra may never be found. Her final messages, if they existed, may never be confirmed. But the story of Amelia Earhart, her bravery, ambition, and the unresolved questions surrounding her disappearance will remain etched in history. A perpetual enigma that challenges every one of us to think, wonder, and search for answers in a world where some truths remain just out of reach.